Dear students, in previous class we discussed about various components of motherboard. Now, next point, that is the memory. So see what is memory. Already last year we have studied about memories. Okay, now see what is memory. A computer memory refers to the electronic storage space for instructions and data. So whatever our instructions and data we can store in our system, whatever I will store, we need a space. That space is called as a memory. Last year we have studied about what is memory, what are different types of memories. We have already discussed it. Again, once again, I will discuss you about memory. So see, if you want to store one file on your computer system, or if you want to store one photo on your computer system, or if you want to store one song on your computer system, we need a space. So whatever the space is there, that space is nothing but a computer memory. If your computer is having a space, then only you can store the information. If your computer is having the memory, then only you can store the information or any data. If your computer is not having memory, we are unable to store the data. So that is called as a computer memory, refers to the electronic storage space for instructions and data. Whatever instructions are there, whatever data is there, to store that one, we need a electronic storage space. The memory in a computer can be two basic types. First is the internal memory and second is a secondary memory. Already last time we discussed about this one in PUC. First I already studied what are the internal memories and what are the secondary memories. Then see what are the internal memories. Internal memory includes registers, cache memory and primary memory. Internal memory has three types. In the first is the registers, cache memory and primary memory, which can be directly accessed by the processor. See, last I told you, secondary memory we can't directly access. But primary memory can directly access by the processors. Processors can directly access the internal memories, that are registers, cache memory and primary memory. Okay. Then see first what is the registers. The registers are high-speed temporary storage areas located inside the CPU. So whenever the CPU having the data or recently used data, that can be stored in the registers. Means registers are used to temporary storage purposes. For example, I will tell you, when you are going to write your program in system, before saving that program, that data will be stored on the registers only. After saving it, it will go for secondary devices. But before saving the data, that data will be stored on the registers. So registers are used to store the temporary data purposes, temporary storage purposes. So registers are high-speed temporary storage areas located inside the CPU. After CPU gets the data and instructions from the cache or RAM, the data and instructions are moved to the registers for further processing. So after getting the data from your cache memory or RAM, the data will be held on your registers for further processing. These registers work under the direction of the control unit, CU. It is short in college with CU. The whatever data stored on the registers, that data will work under the direction of the control unit. How control give the directions? Based on that direction, the registers will be worked. Second is a cache memory. So see what is cache memory. The cache memory is a very high speed memory located between RAM and CPU. This is also important part in this chapter. The question may be arise in another question about cache memory. So what is cache memory? Types of cache memory, where cache memory is located, like that questions will be arise. The cache memory is a very high speed memory placed in between RAM and CPU. Cache memory is a very high speed memory. It is placed in between CPU and RAM. The cache memory stores the data it is used more often temporarily and makes it available to the CPU at the fast rate. See why cache memory is used. The cache memory stores the data that is used more often temporary purposes and makes it available to CPU at very fast rate. The cache memory work is to make the fastest transfer to data to the CPU. Hence it is used to increase the speed up of processing. If you are having the higher memory of cache, your computer speed will be get increased. If your cache memory is lower, then processing speed will be get lower. The cache memory is very expensive, so it is smaller in size. Generally, computer can have cache memory size 256 KB to 2 MB. Compared to your RAM or compared to your secondary memory, cache memory is so much expensive. It's very expensive because size is low and price is high. So normally we are having cache memory 256 KB to 2 MB. Okay, normally it's the size of the cache memory in our computer system is 256 KB to 2 MB. See, types of cache memories or levels cache memories are: first is a L1 cache. It is extremely fast but relatively small. Cache memory L1 cache. Its name is L1, level 1 means L1 cache. So it is extremely fast and relatively small and usually present inside the CPU. The size of the L1 cache is up to 256 KB only. The question may be arise you where L1 cache is located. L1 cache is located inside the CPU. The question may be asked you where L1 cache is located. L1 cache is located inside the CPU. It is extremely fast but relatively small and usually present in the inside. The size of the L1 cache is very small. It is having up to 256 KB and it is placed inside the CPU. Then L2 cache, it may be located outside the CPU on separate chip. A high speed system is interconnected the cache to the CPU. The size of the L2 cache is up to 6 MB. A L2 cache may have the 6 MB of data, that much is the size, and it is located outside the CPU. For this also they may ask the question where L2 cache is located. So L2 cache is located outside the CPU and it has a 6 MB. Next is a primary memory. Okay. This memory is a two types, RAM and ROM. RAM is a random access memory and ROM is a read-only memory. RAM is a random access memory and ROM is a read-only memory. See, in this RAM is a temporarily store the computer's operating system, application programs and current data so that can be processed, can reach them quickly. Name itself implies random access memory. It is temporarily store the computer's operating system, applications programs and the current data so that processor can be reach them very quickly. So whatever the data temporary purpose you are using, that data will be stored in RAM. Using the RAM, it is quickly access the information from, it may be recent user application or it may be OS or any other kind of data. RAM is a faster memory and volatile in nature, and the power switched off the data in this memory will be lost. Last year we have discussed about this one, RAM. It is the fastest memory and it is a volatile nature. Volatile nature means what? When your power supply is switched off, the whatever the contents are there in RAM, that all data will be get lost. That data will not be stored. Whenever your power supply goes off, the data in the RAM will be get lost. Then see what are types of RAM. There are a number of types of RAMs are there. First is DRAM, dynamic random access memory. Second is SRAM, static random access memory. Third is SDRAM, synchronous dynamic random access memory. Fourth is DDR/SDRAM, double data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory. Last year we have discussed this all the memories. In UC first year we have studied about this all. And this fourth one, DDR/SDRAM, was asked in, I think, in 2017 annual examination for 1 month. 17 or 18, I think in 17 only. In 2017 they asked expand DDR/SDRAM, double data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory. Then next point, ROM. Then see what is ROM. ROM is a small memory which stores the boot firmware called BIOS, hold enough information to enable the computer to check its hardware and loads its own operating system into the RAM at the time of system booting. See, whenever you start your computer, first computer start the booting. Booting means what? It will check the necessary devices and necessary files available on your system. If any one of the files is missing, your computer system will not be get started. It will show you error message. or if any or one of the device is not connected, it will show you message. The suppose example keyboard is not connected to the computer, like that. Booting means what? It will check all the necessary files and all the necessary devices also. So that is what ROM. If all the files and all the devices are connected, then it loads the data to the RAM. ROM will check the necessary files and devices. If all the data is correct, all the devices are connected, then the data will be loads onto the RAM. ROM is a non-volatile nature. Even when the computer system turned off, the contents of the ROM remains available. See, last I also discussed. ROM is a non-volatile. Non-volatile means what? Even though your computer system is switched off, then also whatever the contents are there in ROM, that are intact. Means the data will be remains as it is. It will not be get erased. That is ROM. Then last point in this chapter, that is the power supply to the computer system. So see, every computer must have a power. Without power, we can't start a computer system. If you are having the power supply, then only you can start a computer. So see, what are the types of computer systems power supplies are there? There are mainly two types of power supplies there. One is a switched mode power supply, that is called as the SMPS in short, and second is the uninterruptible power supply, that is called as the UPS. Switched mode power supply, that is the SMPS, and uninterruptible power supply, that is the UPS. First we will discuss about SMPS, switched mode power supply. An SMPS converts AC power from electrical outlet to the DC power needed by the system components. See, whatever your power supply came from your outlet, that will came into the AC. Whatever will get this power supply from your mains, that is a AC. We have to convert that AC to DC. AC means alternate current. Okay, we have to convert that AC to DC because our computer systems needs a DC supply, not AC supply. So for conversion purpose AC to DC, we have to use a SMPS. SMPS work is that converting power supply from AC to DC because our computer system needed by the DC only, not AC. An SMPS metal box in the rear of the system that is attached to the computer chassis and to the system board. It is connected to your motherboard and cabinet. In simple call, you can chassis means cabinet. The CPU cabinet is there. That CPU cabinet is connected to your SMPS only, and the cables are connected to your power supply as well as your motherboard. The power supply contains the power card plug and a fan for cooling because it generates a lot of heat. See, for conversion of AC to DC, it creates so many hot. So to cooling purposes, we are using fans also because it generates a lot of heat. An SMPS with the rating more than 300 watts is needed, and any less will not reliably power modem is component. It needs a 300 watts of supply. In a PC, SMPS converts 230 volts of AC to 5 to 12 DC volts. See, I already told you, it will convert AC to DC. AC will come with a 230 volts, and that 230 volts will be converted into 5 to 12 DC. Depends upon your system, depends upon your CPU. And the weightage is around 180 to 300 watts, 450 watts and 500 watts. That depends upon CPU. The data will be get converted. That power supply will get converted. The SMPS. Now second is the UPS, uninterruptible power supply. So what is uninterruptible power supply? That includes the battery to the maintain power in the event of power failure. Suppose if your system is not having the UPS, in that case, if main power supply goes off, your computer will get switched off automatically without saving your data. Okay, suppose you are working on a system and suddenly power supply goes off, so whatever you did work on system, that will be lost because automatically your computer system will get switched off. To avoid this one, we have to use the UPS, that is the uninterruptible power supply. it contains the battery. Whenever your main power supply goes off, battery will load a power supply, means using the battery a power supply will be get to your computer system. Then see, typically an UPS keeps a computer running for several minutes to few hours after power supply failure, enable us to save the data that is in RAM and then shut down the computer gracefully. If you are using the UPS, in that case what happens, you will get the some time because of battery. So whatever you get the time, within that time we can save your all data and shut down your system properly. When you will shut down your properly, then your all data will be safer. Okay. So again there are two types of UPSs. In that, first is the online UPS. Then see what is online UPS. Online UPS avoids the momentary power lapses by continuously providing power from its own inverter even when the power line is functioning properly. It is the more costlier than standby CPU. So what happened? Online UPS means what? Suppose if a power supply goes off, in that case only the online UPS will provide the power supply continuously without lapses. Okay, because of that your function will be get properly. If because it is having the inverter. See, if your UPS is not provide data continuously when your power supply goes off, in that case if your UPS is not provided data supply continuously, your computer will be get restarted. Your computer will get restarted. That is the one disadvantage. But using the online UPS, that will not be happens because it is having its own battery and own inverter. So that own inverter and battery will give the power supply continuously to your system. Second is a standby, and even the online UPS is costlier than standby UPS. So standby UPS is also called as the offline UPS. The offline UPS monitors the power line and switches to battery power as soon as it detects the problem. So what happens? Using standby also we can get the power, but when the mains will get off, main supply is off, in that case our computer systems will get restarted because it will not provide the continuous power supply. Standby UPS will not provide the continuous power supply. In that case your computer will be get restarted. Okay, so these are two types of UPSs are available: online UPS and standby UPS. Online UPS are mostly using in the banks, all the banks or all the offices, and standby UPS are using in the home purpose only. Okay, so here your first chapter is completed. This is one small chapter. The chapter will ask for 4 marks. One question is for 1 mark, another question is for 3 marks. Total 4 marks chapter is there, and this is the last point in this chapter. So this is purely theory based chapter. I will give you notes, PDF notes. You can learn that videos, you can prepare a PDF, and also I will give you in tomorrow or today only I will give you assignment questions only. So already you have completed one chapter, that is the logic gate. Already I have given the assignment question. You have to write that all assignment questions in assignment book only. And now this is the first chapter, typical computer system. So this chapter also I will give assignment questions. You have to write all the assignment questions in that same book only. So 2 chapters are completed. Third chapter, logic gate, that is also asked for 4 marks. This is first chapter. This is also asked for 4 marks. Okay, total 8 marks your chapter is get completed till today. Okay, 2 chapters are completed. Both are asked for 4 marks. Okay, so remaining chapter whatever is there I will start tomorrow and I will discuss about tomorrow only. Thank you. And one more, if you are having any doubts about this one, you can freely ask me, but you have to clear your all the concepts. If any one of the concepts is not cleared, once again I will explain you.